For the next speaker, it is my honor and a privilege to introduce our very own sunshine, Irene Hammonds. She's the best of us, the kindest and the most loving soul I've ever known. She brings light and joy to wherever she goes. Her story of vulnerability shows that courage comes from a place of fear, and being brave is all about facing and overcoming that fear. She invites us to be courageous, to show up and let ourselves be seen, to create an impact, and an impact to design the new you. Irene, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to get my PowerPoint ready. Wow, I'm impressed by the previous two speakers who doesn't need any PowerPoint. I'm a visual person, so here I go. I need some visuals to make sure that I can get all of you to also follow me. Right. What a lovely meditation sessions. I'm still in that process, right? So enjoying that process. Now I'm going to cover with you about my stories on how I overcome tough challenges and how resistance was built slowly throughout from a very young age. There were a lot of failures, there were a lot of challenges, and each of these challenges, each of these failures are actually my bricks, my small pebbles that make me who I am today. Right. So, any one of you, have you ever failed? What kind of question is that? Right. I'm sure you have, and I'm sure that you would definitely fail many, many times. But why are we all so resistant to failure? Why don't we want failure? Now, statistics has shown us a number of times that famous people has failed. Look at the number of times that Thomas Edison need to fail before the light bulb is being invented. I hope this number is enough to give you that, wow, I have not failed enough. So keep failing. Because every time you fail is another lesson and is another pebbles adding on to your strength. Any one of you love Mother Nature? Show a hand, or you can type on the chat. Yes, thank you. Right, I love Mother Nature. So there was a time where I had a walk with my son, and then he asked me a very interesting question. He said, "Why does all the trees sway onto one side?" Right, and then I said, "That's an interesting observation." But I'll share more with you about the tree story in a moment. Now, I came from not a very well-to-do family, and I, like many of us, we all went through the 4 stages of life of growth, right? And the 4 stages: rebellious, adjustment, exploration, leadership. For me, when I don't come from a very wealthy-to-do family, and childhood was very tough, like Ratna, my English isn't very good as well. So English isn't my first, it's not my first language. And I grew up in a dialect-oriented kind of family. We speak Hokkien, we speak Teochew, we speak Mandarin most of the time. So when I grew up, that environment forced me to actually feel defeated in a way. I can't benchmark myself with wise people or people who does very well in school. I struggle at schoolwork. I struggle with catching up with people. Neither am I good. When I was very young, I was very skinny. So I also, like, you know what Rana said, people talk about this sense of worthiness. It challenged me so much, all right? I never feel that, the interior side of me, I always feel like I'm not good enough and I'm not pretty. So when one day when this guy tells me, "Hello, can you be my date?" What do you think is my first response? Without hesitation, I jump into it, right? Right? Because I finally, it sounds like I'm not failing. Right? It sounds like I'm not failing. It sounds like, oh, I finally wanted, right? Someone that is not academically inclined, someone that's not pretty, and then somebody wants me. Oh, yay. So I celebrate. So without even thinking, at that age, I jumped, 16 years old, I jumped into a relationship. And my mom said no, and I said yes. So through that relationship, I went through a lot of struggle. There I go. I end up in a very possessive relationship. That boyfriend would slap me, will hit me, will just make me feel really not worthy. But because I don't want to, I was full of shame and I don't want to just give up. I want to show that if I work harder, I'll be able to win his heart. So I just pressed on, right? Whatever he said, I just said, just tell me what can I do and I'll make myself better to just be your best girlfriend. And it was until a lot of humiliation happened and he decided to flew away from Singapore to pursue his study, and I was pregnant, that I decided to just end my life. So at that point, I felt my life was a failure. It was a big, big failure. I failed being a daughter. I failed being a girlfriend. I failed being a person. I totally lost myself. And what's the point of living? It was a very, very struggling moment. Just when you thought that this was worse, I'm not too sure if I was glad that I was saved at that time. Of course, now I am very, very glad that I was saved. Because of my episode of suicidal episode, I have always wanting to escape life. So I have, at the age of 20 something, I decided to just find a job where I can get out of Singapore. The objective is to just escape reality, because failure is just too scary for me. I just don't want to fail. I don't want to be seen as ashamed. Then I met my then husband. He was a training officer in airline. Yes, I wanted to join the airline because that's the best way to get out of Singapore. I wanted to fly. So during the training, I met my boyfriend and was my first ex-husband. Sadly, the marriage didn't turn well as well. So we had a couple of happy months. I said months, yes. Then the rest of the other few years were just agony, pain, shame, a lot of debt, a lot of humiliation. He cheated on me. He left me with an unborn children, no money in the bank, a house near seizure. I was left with nothing, and again, failure hit me. I was just so useless. I need to learn how to just get rid of that mindset. And it was at that point, I do not understand, there were a sense of wanting to fight to live on inside me. It was that little baby in my tummy that was telling me, you can do it. You can do it. Every time it moved, that message, you can do it, was telling me and giving me hope. And then my son was only 2 years old, 2 to 3 years old. He saw me crying every day and he said, Mommy, don't want you to cry every day. If leaving daddy make you happy, it's okay. And that's the time where I braved myself and I filed for divorce. And the process was very painful, from being rebellious to exploring what's my new path, to making adjustment, to accept reality. It was a whole journey. And this journey on all this failure shaped me and built up my resilience. And today, yes, I have a beautiful family now. I have a wonderful job or business until COVID hit us. How many of you, your business was not hit by COVID, or your job was not jeopardized, your life was not? No, ours too. I'll share a little bit more in a while. I'd like to go back to that story of the tree. Where did I get my anchor from? Where did I lean onto? I learned from Mother Nature. Now, Mother Nature has so much wisdom in her. You probably have heard of this. The storm make trees take deeper roots. All the storm that I faced since childhood has actually made my roots went so deep. Even the toughest blow that I saw my ex-husband sleeping with another woman. It was painful, but it just made me stronger. Now, have anybody seen this angel oak tree? It's on Johns Island, South Carolina. Now, this is such a huge tree. You can see that the man size is only so tiny. It's a 400-year-old tree. And this tree has survived so many hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes. But until today, the tree is still standing tall. Yes, it might need some of this pillar. This side, okay. Right, some of this pillar here that support the tree. But at least it's still standing. The tree, 400-year-old tree, the expectancy of this tree was mentioned that it could last until 1,000 years old. And right now it's 400, but it already overcome so many hurricanes, floods, earthquake challenges. And one of the hurricanes in 1989 actually damages it so badly that everybody thought that it has no chance of survival. But that damage has actually forced the tree get the roots to be even going deeper and deeper. And until today, it's standing there. Of course, it certainly needs a lot more TLC. I'd like to share with you my 4 areas of resilience. First, a lot has to do with taking care of the emotions. Our emotions are actually our roots of perseverance, our acceptance. We need to be optimistic that everything happens for a reason. I didn't know why I have to overcome a failed relationship one after another until I realized, well, that is how it makes me tougher. That's where my roots get stronger. All that I need to do is look at the bright side of things. I lose some, I gain some. What they cannot take from me is the strength from within. And I've always looked into how do I make myself better? And that leads me to the second stage of taking care of your physical. Now that's the stem of the tree, and that is also the core of the tree. In us, in every human being, our body is our core, our body is actually our pillar. So we need to take care of our physical, our body, and we need to make sure that when we're hit, we're able to jump back. Like the oak tree, do not let the damages ruin you. Instead, grown for fast recovery. I actually suffered a couple of weird sickness this year. In January, I felt so ill. I couldn't even get out of the bed. I didn't even know why was my hand trembling. Why is it I can't even lift up the fork? Why was my breath? It just pant every time I start walking. I just pant, and I was catching up with my breath to an extent I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die. I lied in bed. I was in tears. I don't know what's going to happen. My kids are so young. And then after that, that was my first time that I know that I actually was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And the next thing I know, I had high blood pressure. And the next thing I know, I actually have barren esophagus. And the next thing I know, I have a couple more of medical condition. And I seriously tell myself, I need to spend time taking care of my physique because that's my goal. I'm not giving up. Nothing can beat me. Well, important thing next, finance. Finance is something that is not just about money. Now, when we talk about finance, a lot of people think it's about making money and spending. Now, finance also talk about your strength of actually investing. Don't think of spending, but think of investing. What are we investing? That's our channel of nourishment, how we actually build up our nourishment. So think of it as during the pandemic, did you actually look into your finances? What did you invest yourself in? What are the hours that you invest yourself in? What did you make yourself become better? What are things that need to change? Lastly, mental. What do you want to achieve? And what is your dream? Now, my dream has always been, I want a happy family. Family is everything to me. I want my business to grow. When COVID hit, we failed. We were scrambled. And we don't know how to bring a live event to digital platform. Our business was like in chaotic. I lost at least 4 to 5 months of income. So 4 to 5 months, I have zero income, I have nothing. And we get to build all this through taking care of the emotion, taking care of the physical. Look at what are the areas that we can invest in. Look at the ways that we can improve. We work on teamwork. We work on encouraging each and other in the team. And we work at what's our team goal. So there's a lot of process that we need to change. There's a lot of things that we need to move. And that's my 4 area of resilience. Allow me to just fast forward a little bit. So I'm going to skip a few slides here, right? And I like to share this closing message with you. Resilience is about braving the storm. If we put our failure aside and not look at it as a failure, instead look at it as our pebbles of strength. We brave that storm and we transform that fear into the roots of strength. Then every storm is actually our pillar of our physical strength for our next stages of growth. So I hope these 4 pieces of resilience can also support you in building that resilience in you. Thank you very much. I leave you with a piece of that template and I'm going to drop it in the chat. Right? So I look forward to hear your question and thank you very much.
Wow, Irene, that was inspirational. Thank you so much. We are learning about how to use the 4 ideas, 4 areas of resilience to brave the storm. Thank you again, Irene. Beautiful. Moving on to our last